Papa Pepper, pouring the walls for the root cellar. Alright guys, more adventures in Papa Pepper land today. Today we pour the walls, hopefully, supposedly, Lord willing, for our root cellar and storm shelter. Yesterday there was a big mound here, there was a fence here, a lot of stuff happened to get ready, and I'm looking forward to it. I still got 2 more things of rebar to bend for the top layer. Got our vertical ones that are going to tie into the roof as well, and we're pretty ready. I'm going to throw in a little extra around the side here. So here it is, guys. We did our pouring today. I wasn't able to do a lot of recording because for one, my batteries were dead pretty much on my camera. For two, it was me, the driver of the truck, and my neighbor working on it. So I had things to do. But I'll give you a quick tour and I'll show you a couple things. For one, when I was putting in those little clips that I showed you guys to join them together on the top, and I'll grab them from here. These HV clips here. When I was grabbing and putting these in, what I didn't know is that besides putting them to join every 2 together, on the bottom layer you're supposed to put them in upright too. So because we didn't do that, we screwed on those boards to hold the bottom 2 layers together. On the inside we were able to get everything. On the outside I had some extra room, so I did do a couple on the outside too. I had less room on these sides, so we didn't. So when we got pouring, one thing is that we're shooting into a 4-inch gap here. So because we're shooting into a 4-inch gap, and because the downspout is pretty much like half a 5-gallon bucket, we made this box, which my buddy just whipped together quick with scrap from some of my housing builds. So put that together, that worked really good. One thing, it was wide enough on these sides to be able to rest across the top, whatever side we had on, and then had a little handle too to move it back and forth, and we can put it in. So to start putting it in, we made it a little runny so that we could have a couple spots we'd pour it in and let it kind of go out from there. You'll notice these braces on each side. We've got 2 over there, 1 over there, 2 over here, 1 over here, was to help hold everything still. And then at one point, I mean, you can see some of it where it's just kind of running over from the top, but a couple of them, you can see it leaked through a little bit. That's perfectly fine. On the outside at the bottom, I did pack in dirt, but I forgot to do it on the inside. So I had 1 spot there, 1 spot there, and a spot over there, where it started just kind of seeping out underneath, but it stopped itself, which is good. But right here, we almost had a blowout. And what I mean by a blowout is when there's too much pressure on the inside, that it actually busts through the concrete forms, the ICFs, and breaks. So we took one one of our big pieces of lumber, and we screwed it in to every piece down the way, and then I screwed it there too to hold those top two together, so that way they were all held together with added stability. And then same thing here, we just did the top couple together that way and together that way. Thankfully we didn't have any big issues. And the last thing that we did, because we're going to be adding the floor to here, so we'll remove the lumber at the bottom, and then we'll actually cut out the form at the very bottom, so that we're able to connect the concrete to the concrete at the bottom. There'll be a spot in the bottom too for water. We'll have it kind of all sloped to one corner and have like a 5-gallon bucket size hole in it. That way if we do ever run into issues, we'll have one location for the water to collect that we can then put a sump pump on there and get it out. And at the end, we took these pieces of rebar here that pretty much, what were they, 10 feet? I think they were 10 feet. I think I ran them up 8.5, and then I bent them over. So what that does is this runs all the way down to the bottom, and then it comes across, so we've got something to tie into. Those sheets of plywood there are going to be able to slide underneath here, hopefully, 1, 2, and 3, and make the bottom of the roof, and we'll pour these. When we pour, it'll tie the concrete on the outside to the top, and you'll notice that this corner here is missing. We actually spun them off to the side. So this one's turned a different way, and these two over here are turned a different way. And when we were discussing, we were trying to figure out exactly how to do it. I asked my guy, I said, hey, have you given much thought to the ventilation over the door? And he says he's thinking about it a bit. I mean, for me, I didn't have this sketched out months ahead of time. It just kind of fell into my lap where it's something that we wanted. So I said, okay, let's put it on the to-do list. Then the Mini X shows up, and it's time to dig. So I start digging, and we're figuring it out as we go. So there was really no long plan of figuring things out ahead of time. But as we were talking, we're like, you know what? There's going to be an aisle down the middle. And we're going to want to be able to use it both as food storage, so you can have shelves on each side. And remember, if you're actually making something where you're going to be storing canned goods, don't just have an open shelf. Okay, have a shelf with a lip on it, so that way it comes out to like a 90 degree. So that way stuff doesn't just fall off the shelf, but it'll actually have something to hold it in place. That's one thing to remember. We'll be getting to that later. But we also want to be able to use it as a storm shelter. So if we're using it as a storm shelter, besides just a root cellar, we want to be able to be down there. So if we run our stairs this way down the edge to the path, and have the path up the middle, it'll just work out better for us than having a ladder or stairs in the path. So we'll figure it out. We're working on it. But other than a little bit of footage that I did shoot that I showed you guys, that was step 2. Okay, step 1 was to set up the forms. I'll link that video below. Step 2 was to pour the walls. And now we're going to do both the bottom, the floor, and the roof for our next one. I've got some extra lumber and stuff here. One thing is, since I'm having shelving from the top to the bottom, I can actually incorporate that into my design, so that we've got extra stuff to hold up the roof that'll be permanently there in the bottom anyway when we're done. So far so good, guys. I'm learning every step of the way. We used a vibrator a couple times, stick it down there, zzz, help move the concrete around. We were kind of pulling it with a different number of tools. I was down in there banging on it with a hammer lightly, trying to get it through. And then also, you can see with the wire I had, there's a little hole right there with a little couple sticks and a wire coming through it. That wire is coming through it, so we can at least put a light in here from over there. While I had it open, I was preparing for the propane tank, which is going there. I figured we'll put the power in here, and that way the road can be flat when the guy gets here. And then the rest of the extra yard of concrete or so, I guessed on this project. And since we had extra, I said, hey, let's give this one a concrete floor. Looks like it's going to look pretty good. Worked pretty well, so never really done any of this before either. First time, but I framed it in well, and it looks like it did it. So we'll see what that looks like by the time we get done. All right, guys, thanks for coming along for the journey. See you soon enough. Papa out. As always, I'm Papa Pepper, and I'd like to remind you, don't post for free. If you'd like to be part of a revolution in social media, an economic power to the people where users can actually blog for cryptocurrency, then I'd recommend that you check out steemit.com and join the revolution. Papa out.